Welcome back to my channel. I'm Hannah Blackwell, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some romance novella recommendations. I love a good romance novella, especially towards the end of the year. I know a lot of us, especially booktubers, I should say, are really trying to make our reading goals on Goodreads, especially me. I have to tell you, I'm a little bit behind, so please give me all of your romance novella recommendations. I need them. I need some novellas in my life so I can try to make my Goodreads goal, which I've already dropped down. You can hear all about that in my recent video where I do the end of year book tag. I know that a lot of times too, when we are feeling kind of down, which some of us might be feeling kind of down at the moment given current events, a good zero brain power romance novella is wonderful. It's not like an epic fantasy romance or anything super emotional, just a nice, simple, short romance novella to take our mind off things and just have a good time. Sometimes that's what we need. So let's go over 12 books that I want to recommend to you that are all short and steamy and just a good time. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I'd love to have you do so. Don't forget to click the like button and comment down below and let me know your favorite romance novella. Give me all of your recommendations. I need them right now for so many different reasons. All of my social media is linked down below in the description, including my Goodreads, Instagram, my Patreon, and the link to the Hideaway Discord. And with all of that out of the way, let's get into these romance novella recommendations. So I have 12 recommendations total. 9 of them are books that I have read, and 3 of them are books that I want to read really soon. The first one is Grizzly Beard by Cassie Mint. This is the most recent novella that I read, and this is about a grizzly mountain man, and the men on this mountain order from this mail order bride service. There's not a lot of people that live there. It's hard to meet people. There's not a bunch of women. They order mail order brides, and that is how our heroine shows up on this mountain. The only issue is that she shows up to the wrong house. When the hero has to take her to her intended, the two fall in love. It's really cute. It's Cassie Mint. She writes awesome novellas. If you're looking for a romance novella, I highly recommend just looking at Cassie Mint's backlist. She has so many. I have one other Cassie Mint book on this list. She writes really cute romantic books. They're not super spicy, but there usually is some spice towards the end. They're just a good time. The next one is a cute monster sci-fi kind of novella. This is called Viridios, and this is by L.A. Holloway. Have you ever seen Lord of the Rings? You know the Ents in the second movie or the second book, the Two Towers? There's these giant tree monsters. He's basically that. He's a giant tree monster being, and she's a scientist on this planet. She is studying biology on this planet. She discovers Viridios, and the two of them fall in love when he basically kidnaps her and takes her as a pet, but he doesn't really understand that humans aren't pets. It's very cute. He's like a giant cinnamon roll. It's short and fun, and it's a good time. The next one I want to recommend is also another kind of giant monstery being, and this is Wed to the Ice Giant by Layla Faye. Layla Faye also has a lot of really good short novellas, especially more on the monster romance side of things, and this one is in her Wed to the series. So in this one, human women sign up for this marriage service where this algorithm decides the perfect monster for them. It's kind of a dystopian world where humans are less than, they don't have money, they're very poor, and the monsters kind of are in charge of the world and are the ones that are doing well, the upper class. So she wants to send back money to her family. So she signs up and she meets her ice giant king. He's like the king of the ice giants, and they have a romance, and it's short, fun, spicy. It's a good time, I think, especially for cold weather season coming up. Next, I have a Claire Kent book. I've read a couple of Claire Kent, and I really want to read more from her. This one is called Hold, and there's actually more in this series. This kind of alien romance, or more like space. I think the second one's definitely alien romance, but this is like a space romance, and this is set at an alien prison planet, and our heroine is dropped there because she's an archaeologist who was digging where she wasn't supposed to, and the big bad overlords find out and drop her into a prison. There she has to kind of fight for her life. There's not really like rules or guards or anything like that. So she has to promise herself to like the biggest, baddest guy there to protect herself. There's a lot of triggers in this. Make sure you check your triggers before going into this book because it is set in a prison where there's no rules. So imagine all of the possible triggers there could be. There's a lot of them. But the man that she decides to pledge allegiance to, the two of them have a romance. He protects her and it's really good from there. It's very spicy. Like this is an like way up there spicy level book. There's just a lot of spice. Next is my other Cassie Mint recommendation, another one that's really good for winter season. So this is going to be a perfect time now to read it. It's November, so really anytime like November, December, January, I think is a great time to read like snowy books. So this one's called Snowstorm. Like I said, this is by Cassie Mint and this is about this girl. It's modern age, but she's doing a tour in England of like a duke's residence. She falls asleep on a bench and there's this like snowstorm. I guess the bus leaves without her and the duke discovers her and the two of them are kind of stranded there in the snowstorm and have a romance. It's really cute. If you like a forced proximity snowed in setting, especially like with royalty, check this one out. If you're looking for a fantasy romance novella, I highly recommend Sven the Collector. This is an enemies to lovers wyvern rider romance. So the heroes in this whole series are barbarian wyvern riders. Wyverns are kind of like dragons, but they're a little bit different. I'm not sure. I think they're like bigger and maybe do dragons have 4 legs and wyverns have 2, or is it vice versa? I'm not sure. I believe this is Norse inspired as well. I really want to read the next book in the series. This is a novella. Our heroine is very independent. She doesn't want to be married off. She goes riding into these forbidden woods one day. At the same time, our hero is on his wyvern, like looking for a bride, and he discovers her, and so he kidnaps her. But then like it's really fun because she kidnaps him back. So there is the like captor-captive trope, but it goes both ways. They're enemies to lovers and they have to like get out of this scary forest together and like survive. It's really good. It's fantasy romance. I can't wait to read more in the series. It's also very underrated. I don't ever really hear anyone talking about that series. Next is a contemporary spicy romance. This is called Kink Camp Hunted. So I think multiple books take place at this kink camp. This is by A. Anders, and this one has a primal kink. So different people like go to this adult camp to experiment in a safe place and try out different things that they're interested in a safe space. So yeah, it's like a camp, like a summer camp, but for adults. Our heroine, she's like going just because I think she's trying to support her friend or something. It's been a little bit since I've read this one, but she ends up exploring the primal kink and she has a romance with the man who is chasing her, but he is masked. So she does not know who he is. And so there's a little bit of like a masked man kind of trope. She doesn't really know who the hero is, and she has to decide if she wants to find out who the hero is. And it's very fun. If you like the primal kink or chasing, go ahead and check that one out. Next, I have another monster romance that I read recently. This is The Orc and the Innkeeper. I've talked about this in a few recent videos, so I won't talk about it long, but this is a cozy and spicy monster romance set in a really cute, quaint, cozy village or town. And our hero is an orc who owns a brewery. Our heroine is a human who owns an inn, and the two end up fake dating to support their own endgame goals. It's also an enemies to lovers. She was bullied by the hero in high school, and so she really hates him, and so he has a lot of groveling to do. This is really cute, cozy, sweet, a short read, a really fun time. Also more on the 200-page range, I believe, but it's still just short and fun and just a really good time. I highly recommend. I've talked about it a lot recently, so I don't want to talk about it for too long, but it's a really good one. If you haven't picked it up, please pick it up. Next, I have the last of the recommendations that I have read, and this is Honey Phillips. I love Honey Phillips. She writes just really fun novellas and novels as well. They're just fun and cute and spicy, and they can take your mind off things. You don't have to take them too seriously. This one is her series where she's kind of retelling the 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, but it's called 7 Brides for 7 Alien Brothers, and this is the first book in the series, Artek. So on this planet, it's very like a Western kind of town. And there's humans in this town, but over the mountain, these aliens have this homestead. And they are all different types of aliens because they were fighting for this galactic empire together, but they are all different alien types from different planets. Artek is the leader of them. I'm not sure what his rank, captain or sergeant or what, but he was the head of their battalion or section, or he was in charge. And he meets this girl who's working at the like general store, and the two of them have this really sweet, spicy romance. It's really sweet. It's also really fun to kind of mix Westerns with like an alien planet and aliens. I liked how that was done, and I read the second book in this series. Benjar was the name. I was kind of disappointed by that, but I want to read more. I think like Benjar has like lower ratings than a lot of the other books in the series, so I do want to continue on and read more in that series, but I really liked Artek. I liked that hero, I liked the heroine, I liked the introduction of this world, and I thought it was really sweet. Okay, so 3 books that are on my radar that I've wanted to read for a long time. I don't know why I have not read them yet, but I will. First is Ruby Dixon. I have a whole backlog of Ruby Dixon books I want to read. This is The King's Spinster Bride. So this is a fantasy romance. The heroine is a spinster, and I think there's multiple books in the series. This is the first one in this like Aspect and Anchor series, I believe. I don't really know much about it other than I believe like the heroine is like a spinster and doesn't think she's ever going to get married. I keep getting this one confused with the Half-Orc's Maiden Bride because that seems to have a similar premise as well. Definitely want to read that one. The next is this whole series by Regina Abel, but the first one is I Married a Lizard Man. A lot of the books in the series look really good. I think it's called the Prime Mating Agency series. Like some other monster romance series, there's mating agency or a marriage agency, and each book has a different breed or type of monster or alien. And so I think this one, there's like minotaurs, there's like snakes. I don't know. There's all kinds of different aliens and monsters in this series. So I really want to read the first one. I hear there's farming in this, and it's very cute, like much cozier and cuter than you would imagine for alien romances. And the covers were recently redone for this one, and it makes me like them a little bit more. I wasn't a huge fan of the original covers for the series, but I only hear great things about it, so I really need to just pick it up. Like, I need to just do it. And finally, I have Kara Wilde's Snowbound with the Winter Lord. This one, I believe, is like more of a fae type of wintry fantasy romance. I believe the Winter Lord, or like the hero, has antlers, and I always really like that whole trope of like the antlery kind of monster, like a tree god type of like magical being. This is kind of has that trope. It's a wintry fantasy romance. Once again, I think going to be perfect for this season. So it's going to be frosty and cold and like hopefully make me feel all cozy. And it's also fantasy romance. It's a novella. And I feel like I'm always trying to find more fantasy romance novellas. I find a lot of monster romance novellas and alien romance novellas, which you could say falls under the fantasy romance umbrella, but it's still kind of separate. Like I want more like fae or dragon type of novellas that are, yeah, like fantasy romance, but short. And this looks like just that. It's got pretty good reviews. If I like this, I can try some of Kara Wilde's other books. I've not read anything by her, but she does have quite a backlist. Okay, so there you have it. I hope you guys liked this video of my romance novella recommendations. I think it's the perfect time of year to pick up some novellas, try to meet our Goodreads reading goals, or just get distracted because some of us need that right now. If you like this video, don't forget to click the like button and comment down below with your romance novella recommendations for me and for everyone else. Chat down in the comments, and hopefully we can all help each other out with some good romance novellas. All of my social media is linked down below in the description, including my Goodreads Instagram, my Patreon, and the link to the Hideaway Discord. Until next time, fellow readers, keep reading and living your best life.
Never said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away.